In this presentation, we want to look at some of the basics of the business environment and then go on to look at the specific, what the roles of business are, what it means by the term economies of scale, so we have a better understanding of the basic business environment we're working with. So business is an organisation that's engaged in the trade or production of goods, services to consumers, businesses and governments. We often talk about businesses being classified by size, those which are small businesses, medium and large. And we even talk about micro businesses, businesses that are very small with less than 5 employees. Similarly, we talk about global businesses, so there might be businesses like Coke, national businesses, and then local, the small businesses in the local area. Another way we classify businesses, we talk about public sector businesses. So for example, Education Queensland is a government organisation that runs all the state schools. So that has a business nature about it. In the private sector, we talk about businesses like Coles, Woolworths, Aldi, and those businesses tend to employ the majority or about 80% of the workforce. We also talk about different industries. So primary industries, they're businesses that are involved in agriculture, fishing, forestry, then secondary. So they're businesses that might be involved in transforming those primary goods into some other goods. So for example, construction is one of those industries. Then we look at tertiary or service industries. When we look across the whole of Australia, there are more than 2 million businesses, most of which are small businesses. And those small businesses employ almost half of all Australian workers. Now we come to the nature of business, the roles of business, what they do. Here's a diagram that outlines the 5 key roles that we'll talk about with business. Production, that is, they produce goods and services. Employment, they provide employment for people. Careers, they give people the chance to work through an organisation in different roles. Enterprise, they provide a place for ideas. And investment, the share market particularly allows people to invest money in businesses. So let's start with saying, what is production? So that's all about manufacturing a product or service. And here we're thinking about the profits that businesses make. We talk about there are 2 key goals that businesses have. One is to make a profit. The second is to provide goods and services that are needed by a community. When we talk about production, we come to this concept of economies of scale. That is, larger organisations enjoy advantages and can make goods and services at lower cost. For example, we heard about Subway having to pay more for their fruit and veggies particularly, than McDonald's did, because McDonald's is so much bigger and able to negotiate a better price. So the basics of economies of scale is that bigger organisations can produce more with each unit being produced more cheaply. So here are some places where we can actually see economies of scale. So in financial benefits, the lower cost of finance, that means that they might be able to borrow money at a lower cost because they're a bigger organisation, they're seen as less risky. The cost of transport might be lower, they're buying it in bulk. Similarly, the cost of advertising. The cost of the inputs, going back to that Subway example, they can negotiate to buy things at a lower cost. Other benefits might be a larger company might find it easier to recruit staff because they've got a bigger reputation. Government might treat them in a more careful way because government doesn't want to see a business lose a whole lot of jobs. They may have more efficient production, equipment and research and development. So for example, we learned about 3M and they were encouraging scientists to spend 15% of their time looking at new ideas. Well, a smaller company may not have that ability. You think about economies of scales and Woolworths and Coles, well, they can expect to buy larger quantities of goods at smaller costs. They can do deals with their suppliers such that they're supplied right at a set time that make the running of their company more efficient. Everything is delivered right to the back of their loading docks. So this is a multi-choice question just to double check that you're understanding this idea of economies of scale. And you can see that increased profits will come from all of these things. So competitive deals on advertising. They buy their inputs more cheaply and they can undertake extensive research.